If you're in your 20s, I want to give you the best advice you can get. If you follow this advice, you will have tons of money and success in your 30s. If you do not follow this advice, you have nothing to show for your time but a bunch of funny stories, and you'll look back and wish that you had listened to me because you are in so much despair, heartbreak, and most likely poverty. I really want to normalize men spending their 20s working 80 hours a week, because that's what I did after my father killed himself when I was 24. It was during the recession 08. So, nobody was hiring. It was record unemployment, but I still had to take care of my family. So I started working 4 jobs. I would wake up at 4 o'clock and I would train people in the gym. Then I shower at the gym, take the train to the Prada store in Soho where I was a security guard, and I did that for like 8 hours, and then I worked for my boys moving company after that. Did that 5 days a week. And on the weekends, I would train people in the morning, and then I would manage a barbecue restaurant in Queens. I was the weekend manager. So these are 12, 14-hour days, 7 days a week. During the worst economic recession since the Depression, right? Record unemployment, Lehman Brothers, all the other shit. Stock market falling, General Motors about to go out of business, all the banks about to go out of business. The government had to come in and save everything, and it was a fucking mess. It was a nightmare. But I still made over $100,000 that first year I did that. And every year after that, working blue-collarish jobs. You didn't need a college degree to do any of that. All you needed was hustle and being willing to work. But I kept that work ethic. I spent less than I earned, and I invested the rest in my business, in different assets. By the time I was in my early 30s, I was a millionaire, right? Now I'm in my 40s, multi-millionaire. But it's because of that foundation I laid working super hard in my 20s. But when I tell people they should do that, they say, oh man, you're going to waste your best years of your life. Life's not all about work and life's blah, 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 blah. No, nigga, listen to me. I would like to present to you an alternative viewpoint. Instead of thinking your 20s are for fun, fucking around, playing grab ass, what if you use your 20s when you have the most energy, the least amount of responsibilities, and you're healthiest and you're strongest? What if you use that time to build the foundation that will set you up for the rest of your life and set up your future kids? Remember that story? I think it was the ant and the grasshopper. All summer, the grasshopper was fucking around, playing with himself, fucking around, having fun, because it was summer. The ants was working. They was getting ready for winter. Then what happened when winter came? The ants they was straight. They was all good. In my brain, the grasshopper died. He died of starvation in the winter. Maybe something else happened. I don't know. But you don't want to be the grasshopper. The summertime is your 20s. And that's you can really set yourself up. And if you do that, you'll set yourself up for your 30s. So you can actually have a lot of money in your 30s. Then you can start trying to settle down, maybe start a family and have some kids, right? But instead, I see people, they bullshitted their whole 20s. And now they're in their fucking 30s and they got kids and a wife or some shit, and they're like, oh, I'm poor, I'm broke. And I be thinking, man, well, what the fuck was you doing for 30 years, homie? You just now decided to get serious when you had some kids? What if you prepare for that shit? I think in the story, the ants shared their food. But that's a children's story. In real life, you're going to die, homie. The real shit, but they changed it, man, because the world done got too soft. Let me strengthen my argument. According to the data, the average American works about 34 hours a week. Here's some stats. 34 hours a week, not even 40. Bullshit, right? The average American makes under $60,000 a year. So it stands to reason, my nigga, if you double the amount of work, you double the amount of income. This is important because most of you motherfuckers are broke. There's another study that showed that the majority of Americans has less than $1,000 in their account. So if the average American is only making $60,000 a year and less than $1,000 in their account, and they're only working 34 hours a week, let's work more than them so we can have more than them. It's simple math. You may be thinking, but man, how can I work that much? Well, this is why I said guys in their 20s. It's harder if you got a bunch of kids and you got a family, because somebody's thinking right now, man, what if I got like 18 kids? Stop blaming inadequacies on your children. Second of all, I didn't tell you to have all them kids. I'd have told you not to. You keep making mistakes, dummy. You had sex with all the women without a condom. I'd have told you to use a condom. I'd have told you to use a condom and pull out. But you didn't do neither one. Now you got a baby. You're trying to blame your poverty, your inadequacies on your children. Stop doing that. It's not man shit. All right. Every human has 168 hours in every week, right? Let's say you sleep 8 hours a night, 56 hours a week of sleep. Boom. Now you got 112 hours left. All right, cool. Let's say you worked 80 hours of that. You still got 32 hours left. Do whatever you want with the 32 hours. What about using the bathroom? What about commute? What about cooking food, grocery shopping? That's what the 32 hours a week is for, dipshit. You know what I'm saying? Do it how much leisure time you need, man. This ain't the fucking playground. Like, your 20s is not about living your best life or having fun. It really needs to be about setting yourself up for the future. Let your 30s be about having fun. It's called delayed gratification. The longer you can delay gratification and the more long-term you can think, the better your outcomes are. Almost always, things that are good for you now are bad for you in the future. And things that you maybe are uncomfortable now are usually good for you in the future. Let's use this on a shorter time scale. Candies and cake. It tastes great now, but it's bad for you in the future, right? All those excess calories are going to put on fat. That's why the average American is 17 pounds overweight. They think about momentary pleasure instead of long-term. Eating healthy, diet, and being in caloric deficit can be difficult or arduous now, but in the future, you look better, you feel better, and you're healthier. That's on a short time frame. Let's expand this, right? If you fuck around your whole 20s, getting high, partying, fucking random people, doing drugs, smoking pot, whatever you kids are doing now, kids out here eating fentanyl, it may feel great now. It's going to be bad for you long term. You're going to be my age with nothing to show for it but a bunch of funny stories. However, if you fucking do what I say now, put in that 80 hours a week now, you'll be balling by your 30s. If you want, you can take your foot off the gas, or you can spend more time with family then, because it'll be your family, right? More was in their 20s say, man, I want to spend more time with family. You kick it with your fucking mommy? If you ain't got kids, grow up, my nigga. You kick it with your family, the family you create, dipshit. And you do that later after you put in the work up front when you got some fucking bread. And then it's better. I was at Disney World with my son and a bunch of broke people. Man, we skipping the lines and shit. I thought it was good for my son to see skipping the lines of poor people. I was like, hey, the dad didn't work hard in their 20s, man. He bullshit his 20s, man. That's why he got to wait in that long ass line, and we go straight to the front, my nigga. I told him that lesson. He's 6. We're gonna put yourself in the best position to succeed and put your children in the best position to succeed. Let me explain what this means. If the average American makes about $60,000 working 34 hours a week, there's no reason you can't make at least 100K working 80. I did it. Now, your expenses are not 100K a month. I'm not telling you to raise your expenses. Exactly. You got to remember, we're delaying gratification. This is not to buy fucking Lambos and shit. I'm about to buy my first Rolls Royce. I'm 42. You get what I'm saying? When I started my YouTube shit, like 12 years ago, you see, I'm just wearing Apple Watch, no fucking Richard Mille, none of that shit. Maybe the most expensive shit I had on was some Jordans, because I'm from Chicago and I'm hood. I live well below my means. You see the small apartment in Queens. I wasn't out here flexing at all. No car, none of that shit. What was I doing? I was saving half my money. I was making a bunch of money and I was put half aside, save it or invest it. So I was invested in my business. And then when I was quit all my jobs and I was just making money, and I was making more than $100,000 a year at that point. Even when I got to 7 figures in my early 30s, when I was like making my first million, I invested more than half of it, right? I lived well below my means and invested the rest. That's how you get rich. That's the only way to get rich. I don't know no other way. I didn't make enough money off YouTube alone to be a fucking multi-millionaire. I worked hard in my 20s and most of my 30s. And I didn't start flexing until I was like 36, 37. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at those videos. I didn't start buying a bunch of fucking Prada, Gucci, Louis. I don't even have a car yet. I'm about to buy my first Rolls Royce by the end of the year. I got to do it for the end of the year so I get the tax write-off, because I made way too much money here. Otherwise, I got to give it to the government. They gonna spend it on missiles. Listen, if I don't buy the Rolls Royce, I'm funding some war somewhere. That's how I look at it. Now check this out. This is what you do. This is what you do. The simplest way to get rich. Make as much money as you can. It means 80 hours a week. That's about the capacity, especially in your 20s. You got the vigor, you young. In your 30s and 40s, it gets more difficult because you got more responsibilities and you just, shit ain't the same, bro. I could sleep 4 hours in my 20s and like not feel it. If I sleep 4 hours today, I might die, bro. At age 42, I don't know if I'll live it. Make as much money as you can by working 80 hours. Live off less than half of it, but invest the rest, right? Imagine if you did this. Like, just check me out. You should be able to make $100,000 a year if you work 80 hours a week. I'm telling you, you definitely can. There's Uber drivers who make $100K a year. This is an article about this dude. He made $100K a year, but he worked 84 hours a week. This motherfucker hustling harder than you, homie. He's just driving Uber, man. Doing Uber Eats and deliveries and shit, Like, I'm just saying, you could do it. This is like not the easiest easiest way to do it. But if you got a regular job and you drive Uber on the side or something, 80 hours a week, man. This motherfucker doing it. Let's just say you took my advice. You can raise your living expenses. Raise it to fucking $50K a year, but you invest $4,000 a month, right? Remember, I can't get that much. Remember, I told your goofy ass to work 80 hours a week. Right? And the easiest investment, right? Let's say you're starting your 20s, you do this for 10 years. Let's just say you put it in an index fund, VOO, SPY, anything. It's usually around 10%. That's the annual stock market. Let's say we compound it annually. All right, let's calculate. Boom. In 10 years, you'll have $700,000. That's a lot of money. For most of you guys, you'd be almost a millionaire. This is how much of you just saved, but now I tell you invest it, right? But let's say you extrapolate that. Let's say you're 20 and you did this shit for 20 years. Working 80 hours a week for 20 years. If you do that, you're me. You know what I'm saying? You're me. Like, I've been doing that. My sales guys, they're in Miami. We were staying at my boy's house. And I got all my sales team in here in Miami. And they see me work from like 6 a.m. because I wake up at 4 to 8 p.m. It's not all work, because I definitely take some time to work out and I eat food, right? But then, I'm working about 12 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? They see it. They was like kind of shocked. It's like, oh shit, I didn't really know it was real. Yeah, man, I've been doing it. It's normal to me now. So let's say you did that for 20 years. You mean, don't say you can't do it, right? Boom, man. In 20 years, by the time you're my age, man, you got close to 3 mil. What about inflation? Oh, inflation. Man, you'll still be happy with that shit, homie. Chill out. That's life-changing shit. After 15 years, you have 1.5 mil. Right? 25, do it till you're 40. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? You have your first meal in 12 years if you just did it for 12 years. That's the lowest investment, right? If you did something like invested in your own business, like I did, I invested in my own business, and then I learned ads, and I invested in skills. I invested in myself and in my business at first. And then once that business started making enough money, where it's like I had financial surplus, then I started investing in stocks, bonds, real estate. That's how you get rich. The only way to get rich is to make more than you spend and invest the difference over a long period of time. If you are the average motherfucker working less than 40 hours a week, making 60K, it's not enough to invest to make a big difference. You'll never be rich with this kind of income and this kind of work ethic. You'll never be rich like that. I don't know anyone who's rich who worked with the average American works 30 to 40 hours. I'm sure there's maybe some examples somewhere, but I don't know anyone. Not the pro athletes I know. They fucking work more than that. The best ones, they train all day. None of the fucking lawyers I know who are rich, they work more than that. The fucking doctors I know who work, they work more than that. And certainly the entrepreneurs, like the successful entrepreneurs, 80% of businesses fail. If you know that the risk is so high, why wouldn't you put as much work as possible to mitigate that risk for yourself? You're not going to get rich working 40 hours a week. You're certainly not going to get rich making only 60K. That's what the average person is doing. That's why I started these videos. I want to normalize young men working 80 hours a week. The reason I said young men is because if you're young, you don't have as many responsibilities. I don't have to worry about what about all my fucking kids and blah, blah, blah. Yo, shut the fuck up. What about family? What, you want to spend time with your mama? You ain't got no kids, man. And your mommy wants you to go out and be somebody, be successful, man. You know what I'm saying? And then you can take care of your mommy. Like my mom don't have to, after my father killed himself, she don't have to pay no bills. She don't have to pay for shit. She needs some money. She needs something, man. I just send it to her. Ain't nothing. You feel me? That's what you want to be. You want to be able to take care of them when you're older. And you can't do that unless you fucking come up. So I know some people say, man, what about living life? What about enjoying life? Recreation is not the only way to enjoy life. Because a lot of times when people talk about enjoying life, they're talking about hedonism. They're talking about partying. They're talking about vacation. Sometimes they're talking about drugs, casual sex, or, recreational activity. And there's nothing wrong with those things within themselves. But if that's the only way that you can enjoy life, then that makes me sad, because you can only do those things sometimes. You can't do those things all the time. If that's the only way you can enjoy life is recreation, you'll live that life where, man, I got a case of the Mondays. Can't wait for the weekend. Thank God it's Friday. All that shit. Escapism, because they don't like what they do. However, you can switch it. All the ballers I know, they find joy seeing how they can contribute to the world, seeing how much they can push themselves. Recreation is not the only way to find joy. In fact, it's the lowest way, because recreation only benefits you. Even if you're just working for someone else, that business sells something to people, a product or service to people, and you're helping people get this thing that they obviously want. That's why they're exchanging currency for it. They're actually contributing to society when you work. I don't understand why men are so adverse to working. There was a time when men worked way more than 40 hours a week. Those people were kind of considered heroes, like good men. But for whatever reason, now you get demonized if you want to work 80 hours a week. People look at you like you got some kind of disease, calling you a workaholic, as if enjoying what you do is somehow bad, as if putting in work is bad. That's fucking insane. You know, Martin Luther King, when they went on the March on Washington, it wasn't called the March on Washington. That's what they named it after. It was called the March for Freedom in Jobs. In jobs. Martin Luther King wanted you to work, brother. You know what I'm saying? We got to get out here and work, man, and contribute, and then set shit up for our kids. Not only do you set them up to be in a better position, living in a better, safer neighborhood, going to better schools with a better curriculum, providing better services for your children, but you also teach them work ethic. They learn work ethic if their father was a hard worker. If recreation is the only way you enjoy life, man, then it really makes me sad for those people. They don't understand that those of us who learn to enjoy pushing ourselves and seeing what we're made of, we enjoy life more than them because they can only do it on the weekends or after work. I'm enjoying life from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep. I'm not saying, oh, I got a case of the Mondays. I can't fucking wait for Monday because I get to put my jersey on. I'm excited. But I like the weekends too because I work on the weekends, baby. Listen, you do this shit for a few years, you start getting some of this bread. You can take your foot off the gas. And this is like the lowest form, just a simple buying an index fund, $4,000 every month. Imagine if you put in something more lucrative like your own business, or if you figured out a high paying skill where you can get paid more per hour. These things will benefit you and it'll benefit your future. Your future self would thank you if you. However, there's a lot of people who are in their 30s and they wish they worked harder. I don't want that to become. If you want to know what you should work on in those 80 hours, maybe you're somebody who wants to start your own business. After I worked 2 years, right, I had some money aside, right? You know, I saved, had my income, and I invested in the business. The business I started was online training, and I was one of the first people to do online training, and that's how I made my first $1 million. And now I teach other people how to build their online fitness business. All right, I got a bunch of students who've made over $1 million. You can also check out my free ebook, The 10 Commandments of Online Training. If you want to know something right now, the link in the description is free. If you want some more advice on how to make some money, I got a video that's going to help you out a lot. So I'm right, click the link.